Hi, everyone. So I think this panel topic is about EVs, electric vehicles. And I think a lot of you probably have seen in the last, I would say, a year or so, people talking about the reduction or the challenges that EV adoption is facing. And in this panel, we're going to try to discuss what can we do in order to increase the adoption of EV, what kind of things are happening in the market, what are the challenges, and what are the solutions that we see that we can help in order to make more people using EVs. So we're going to start with the panelists to present themselves. And by the way, I'm Boaz. I think most of you probably saw me beforehand on the stage. I'm the founder of EcoMotion, and also I'm the VP of Business Development at Adionics. And when Adionics is building a component for batteries, so I have some interest in EVs. And maybe Rinat, you can start by presenting yourself, and also to tell us if you could design your desired EV, what will be one thing that you're most interested of having in this EV? And it doesn't have to be realistic. What would be one thing that you would be, if that's going to be on the car, that's mine.
Great. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Rinat Yogev, and I'm a partner with GM Ventures, lead the Israeli office with coverage of Israel, Europe, and the Gulf. It's really a pleasure to be here today, and a big shout out to EcoMotion for putting this amazing conference together, as well as Innoviz for hosting us today. So GM Ventures, just in a nutshell, we are the corporate venture capital arm for General Motors. Team is headquartered in the U.S., and we're investing in really disruptive technologies that align with GM's vision. We're investing in early stage companies around electrification, manufacturing, smart vehicle technology, as well as resilient enterprise solutions. And if I had the opportunity to pick my own dream EV car, I would probably choose the what's coming up later this year in the U.S., which is the Cadillac Escalade IQ. It's an amazing car coming out later this year, so watch out for it. And I would also make it a level 5 autonomy, which will allow me to have my kids get to their afternoon activities every day seamlessly. So that would be my dream.
Thank you, Rinat. Thank you, Rinat. Thank you, Rinat. Guys on the back, I know it's really nice to have a chat and it's chill here, but if you could be more quiet so people, guys on the back, shh. Thank you. Coming up next, Amir.
My name is Amir Livne. I'm Senior Vice President of Strategy and Innovation in Israel Electric Corporation. We are, as you know, the only and the biggest utility in Israel. And EV cars is one of our main challenges, both as a consumption area and as a utility in charge of the infrastructure. So we'll talk about it.
And if you could choose, you have an electric vehicle, you can design it in any way you want. What would be one thing that you would like this car to have?
I think the most challenging and what attracts me more is making the car more modular. As Dan spoke earlier, a lot of security goes to over capacity, over size, over engine, and etc. And I would like a small modular car that I can go contact and bring together, for my children, a bigger part, leave it around, go small, go large, and it's very modular. And also because of the electricity technology, it supports modularity that the regular engines does not have. So this is my goal.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming today. I'm Opher Doron, CEO of EVR Motors. We've designed an improved design, a topology for electric motors for everything from two-wheelers all the way up to cars and trucks that are smaller, lighter, lower cost, and very flexible to adapt to different requirements. And if I could really dream, the one thing I'd want my electric vehicle to have, it's a big delete button that deleted the traffic jams.
I think that's not just for electric vehicles. Okay, so let's start with talking about, I would say, the ecosystem of electric vehicles, because I think it's, when we're talking about electric vehicles, the vehicle itself is just a small component. And what do you think, what do you see the biggest, I would say, challenges to have building this ecosystem around EV, if it's the batteries, charging stations, manufacturing the electricity? What are the biggest challenges that you see around building this ecosystem around EV? So, whoever.
So, I think we see two big challenges. One is the price. They're too expensive, and that keeps them very high-end and going from getting to mass adoption. And the second problem is charging. Now, charging can be solved through the batteries, it can be solved through the chargers, it can be solved through the network, it can be solved through charging on the road. There are lots of ways to solve charging, but the bottom line is, today, if you don't live in a house that's got access to your own parking with your own charger, it makes it very difficult to get an electric vehicle. So I think we have to solve this through a combination of the batteries and the chargers and the infrastructure.
Happy to add to that. So just adding to what Opher was saying, I think around the infrastructure development, so it's also the availability of the charging stations, but it's also, for example, grid resiliency and stability. So as we roll out EVs into the market, we need to ensure that there is enough electricity to meet that demand. We want to do it in a sustainable way. In addition to that, I would say, so affordability, for example, kind of focusing on how do we continue to drive cost reductions in the manufacturing process of EVs so that the end consumer can also benefit for those price reductions. And then I would also add, for example, consumer education. So information campaigns to educate the public around the benefits, the sustainable benefits of EVs as well as usability. And then in addition to that, it's, what we've been doing, for example, in Europe with our new rollout of only EVs, direct-to-consumer model in Europe, has been through experience centers. So that allows, for example, the consumers to test drive the vehicle and learn directly, face-to-face around what the features are of the vehicles. And then maybe finally is around public policy, right? So we want to ensure that public regulations, policy regulations are continuing to, one, fund R&D into innovations in this space. And then in addition to that, it would be ensuring that there are stricter emissions that would help to drive EV adoption.
I'll try to look at it from the utility point of view. It's a little bit different. And I think we have two challenges. The first one, which not a lot are talking about, is the basic energy production or clean energy supporting the electric vehicle. Without it, the validity of the whole concept is debatable. I'd like to tell a little story. I read the white paper of Shai Agassi at about 2008, before Better Place was even a company. And I called him, invited him to IC to see how we can cooperate, because I like the idea very much. And I thought it's very close to what we are supposed to do and deal with. And the main weak point in the white paper was his misunderstanding, or the way the electricity and the energy is produced in the end run. And what I try to do is make research at IC with our environmental engineers to support the validity of and the sustainability of electric car without zero emission energy. And it was very hard to look at, and we slightly succeed in this concept, and this concept is still with us at this date. I think electricity in Israel was 60% coal, 30% natural gas, and 10 heavy oils, which was very dirty. Now it's about 70% gas, 12 or 15% clean energy, and coal the rest, so much cleaner. But still, we are far, far away from supporting 100%, and this is a huge challenge of the electricity market. We can talk about it all day about these challenges, but electric vehicles, this is the main drive for their being in the world. So first challenge is green energy. The second is the way the grid is built. Not only the charging infrastructure, but the grid itself. If you look at Israel, we have about, I think, 300 main cities and towns, approximately. And imagine the road infrastructure that is designed for 300 cities and towns in Israel, which is already blocked. And I will now tell you that in the 7 next years, and next 100 cities will come to Israel, all of them nomadic. They can be in the morning in one place, they can be in the evening in another place, they can go to the north, they can go to the south, and you have to build a road infrastructure that will support 300 cities that you know, and a quarter more that you see going all around. Now, let's transfix it to the electricity network and facilities. We have about 3 million households in Israel. The population growth is about 2% yearly, so we have to connect approximately 70 to 80,000 new customers, new households every year, year by year, and develop the network, develop the capacity of the production. And so we expect from 3 million to reach about 3.5 million at 2030. So this is regular, this is the normal course of business. But when you enter into the stage, the electric vehicle, each vehicle is like a new apartment, not a small one. When you see, when it connects to the grid, the consumption is like a large consumer. So you have 1 million vehicle expected to be till 2030. Today, the Energy Ministry announced the 101,000 electric vehicle on the road in Israel, so 10% of it. But imagine on top of the 3.5 million customers, 1 million customers going around. How do you plan a grid? How do you predict load? How do you manage the load? What kind of economic benefits and tools do you have to monitor it and to encourage people to lower the load? This is the huge, I think, both of them, the way we produce energy and the way we build the grid to support it, are the two main challenges.
Thank you, Amir. So I think we've seen here a lot of challenges. You know, we mentioned cost, we mentioned grid, we mentioned renewables, we mentioned policy, we mentioned a lot of things that are relevant. I see, you know, for us at least, what I'm seeing also from my work is that we see a lot of like shortage of minerals. You know, if you're talking about batteries, I would say the war between China and the rest of the world around resources, and the war in Russia that limits resources coming from Russia and Ukraine as well. So there are a lot of challenges that you know, this industry is facing. And Rinat, maybe I want to ask you, you know, we've seen GM making a lot of investments in the battery industry. And what is GM's kind of like, you know, say strategy, and what GM is doing facing those challenges as I would say, one of the biggest car OEMs in the world, trying to mitigate them and to make the adoption of EV more widespread to every customer?
So maybe I'll start and talk a little bit about what we're doing from a supply chain perspective, right? So we want to ensure, and we're developing a comprehensive strategy to do so, but we want to ensure that our EV supply chain is strong, is secure, is sustainable, and is scalable. And we're working with key partners, primarily North America, but working with key partners to ensure we have that supply chain intact. And if we're able to kind of pursue this approach, then we're able to then recover and process and manufacture batteries and EVs with partners, and that would help to drive the EV adoption. That would also help to drive down costs and do so in a sustainable way, and also then bring and add value to our end customers. So today, I would say GM Ventures has been actively investing across the battery value chain and across the electrification ecosystem. So one example, for example, is Niron Magnetics. Niron Magnetics is a US-based company that has developed auto-grade power permanent magnets that are free of rare earth minerals. And so through that technology, we're able to deploy such magnets in our e-motors and allow our EVs to have a more sustainable approach without any dependence on rare earth minerals. We're also investing, for example, right in the start from a company, for example, called EnergyX, which is developing lithium extraction technology that's 3 times more efficient than current methods today for lithium extraction. We're also, for example, investing in recycling. A company out of Canada called Lithion, which is developing a recycling methodology. And we're able to then create a circular solution in developing batteries with partners and then our EVs. Maybe one thing to note, is that we've been able to, kind of through this process, secure all our raw materials for EVs through 2025 that allows us to get to 1 million EV production capacity by the end of 2025.
That's great. And could you keep the microphone on? It's really hard. That's great. And not to mention Algolion, that was acquired just last year by GM, a local company. So that's also amazing. Opher, I want to ask you about EVR. Why do you think that your technology, or do you think your technology can help to spread this EV adoption around the world?
We do. It's as I said, one of the main barriers to EV adoption is price, and for EV adoption to get widespread, EVs need to start going down from the CD classes to the B class, the A classes. You need to see more and more small and medium-sized cars out there that are priced like a normal ICE vehicle is. Otherwise, there's a limit to how many years we can live on subsidies from the government for EVs. And that's basically what we do, and we do it in 2 ways. We do it because the motor, by its very design, not through lightweighting techniques, but by the shape of the electromagnetics inside, is significantly smaller and lighter. And in automotive, weight is cost. They actually do take the raw material price and add on a bit of how much it costs you to convert it. And so if we reduce by tens of % the weight of the motor, we're taking probably the second most expensive component in the vehicle and reducing the price by tens of %. That's big. It also means the vehicle overall is lighter, and a lighter vehicle means lighter battery, lighter everything else. And car manufacturers, OEMs, Rinat can speak about this, are crazy about getting the price down and getting the weight down. And we tackle both of those through topology. So we think there's a huge market out there. And we think this is a key factor in electrification. And when you look at where you can reduce weight and cost in EVs, batteries, of course, and then the motor is the second heaviest and most expensive element. So we're working very hard on that one, and we're seeing a lot of interest in the market. We started with the smaller vehicles and now working on the larger vehicles and starting to pick up a lot of traction.
Thank you. And Amir, maybe last question. You mentioned a lot of challenges around the grid and around the supply. Could you tell us 1 or 2 things that you guys are doing in order to overcome those challenges? Like, what kind of things are we expecting to see new technologies or new things that you guys are working on in order to overcome those challenges?
Okay, first of all, I think because storage is a huge challenge and a new section in the electricity chain at all, we invest, we look at, and we are searching for a huge number of opportunities in the storage area. A lot of them are directly approachable and will affect also the EV market with supercapacitors and superconductors and deep tech energy on material research that we see. We invest in companies like this and we look everywhere and we see processes that will influence for sure the storage side of the electric vehicles. I think one of the blind sides of the infrastructure of the electric vehicle is vehicle to grid. A lot of people are talking about it, but if you see the deployment of the charging station, it's almost zero. And what we are afraid of is when people will buy, they will not replace the incapable infrastructure that the charging station that they put home. So we are working on also on modular solution that we can put onto the old infrastructure that will be old in 5 years, and they will support the new challenges like vehicle to grid that is now dry, but we expect it to be high in demand and also support all the economics of this market.
Okay, we're going to do now a quick finalizing round when I want to ask you guys numbers, okay? So by when you think that we're going to have, starting with Israel and then the rest of the, I would say, West world, like by when do you see electric vehicle adoptions are going to be over 50%? Okay, over 50%. It's going to be widespread in Israel and the rest of the world.
In Israel, the growth is fantastic these last couple of years, so I'd probably say 28 to 29. The rest of the world, some areas are fast, some areas are slow, so probably a bit later, maybe 30, 31.
I will bet between 2030 and 2035 later than.
I think China will get there first, then Europe. So China maybe around 2030, then Europe in between 2030, 2035. Israel will be similarly, and then last but not least, the U.S.
I have so many more questions about, minerals and about the grid and about the vehicle itself and cost, but unfortunately the time is up. So maybe we'll continue that later. Thank you guys very much for coming here and for this interesting conversation, and I look forward to the future.
Thank you, Boaz.
Thank you very much.